Hey guys, if you can just remember to hit that subscribe button. Yeah, I'll also put links to you can donate cryptocurrency. You can I'll put my Patreon link down there. But I realise that some people can't do much at any given stage. So I appreciate it heaps if you can just press the subscribe button. Now, in the latest of my self-defense series, I want to quickly go through why it shouldn't take you that long to learn self-defense. Damien will tell you his thoughts on this, but I sort of think, well, if we look at the special forces guys and all that, most cases they haven't got years to get black belts and that. I know it's different. Self-defense is different from what they do, but same sort of thing applies. These days people are very busy, they haven't got time. You want to learn something that's fast and efficient. The self-defense training system is probably the best on the planet. You've been told by the experts that it takes, I'll put links to this and this article and the main self-defense training system package in the links below. You've been told by the experts that it takes years of training to learn how to defend yourself, but why should it take that long to learn something that's instinctual to every man and woman and creature on this planet? This infuriates me because it discourages anyone who doesn't know any better from trying to learn self-defense or even fighting back. I think that's right too, People think that, you need black belts before you can do anything, and, in how many cases has that, caused people to just freeze and think, oh, well, I'm useless, I can't do anything. Did you know that every year in the United States over 800,000, just about 1 million people survive violent attacks? These aren't super soldiers or killer ninjas. These are very everyday people who followed their instinct to survive. I realize that there are degrees of survival, but compare that to the 17,000 who are murdered. Your chances of surviving are pretty good, like 99.9 good. So why do experts insist on telling you that it takes a lot of time and dedication to do something that should come naturally to do? Allow me to explain. There are three categories of martial arts: combat sport, cultural fighting art, and I'll go through this quickly, guys. You can just stop the screen and have a look for yourself. There are three categories of martial arts: combat sport, cultural fighting arts, self-defense. Combat sport like jiu-jitsu, boxing, MMA, kickboxing, sambo and other requires athleticism, dedicated training and intense fitness. Like all sports, your age and overall health play a key factor. Furthermore, to be successful in sport, music or anything else for that matter, you need the holy three: natural talent, hard work, luck. Natural talent, that all the training in the world can't give you a work ethic that enables you to maximize your potential, and luck, that you don't get sick or injured. Resources to train, and luck, that you don't have any personal issues that you might force you to stop. Cultural fighting arts, or on the other hand, lifelong pursuit of unattainable perfection based in particular culture. Like yoga, the path is never ending and continues throughout your life. The goal of martial arts is to change your inside from the outside based on the tenets of honor, discipline and respect. For instance, Kung Fu, Kendo, Aikido, Judo, Taekwondo, Karate are examples of arts that fall into both the cultural fighting arts and combat sport. At its best, martial arts makes you the better person. At its worst, you become a mindless member of a cult. Finally, there's self-defense. Self-defense is simply survival. If you live, it works. Success is entirely results-based. It doesn't need to come from a single culture or nation. Self-defense is a life skill that should enable you to adapt. That's why the excuse, I'm injured so I can't practice, doesn't fly with self-defense, because if you're injured you need to come up with other ways to protect yourself now when you're most vulnerable. I'll quickly dart through this. Like I say, you can Pause the screen and just read as I do it on your own accord. I'll skip through hopefully the main points. Also, don't just think of self-defense as empty-hand fighting. Real self-defense should include all weapons, also based on your local laws, culture, and items you're around every day. If you use a cane, train with it. If you carry a hammer, train with it. In self-defense, you need use every resource at your disposal and do whatever gives you the tactical advantage at the time. Self-defense skills are confused and jumbled up with sports and culture, so it's not a sports and a culture, it's to get you back home. Remember, there are much more efficient and simpler ways to defend yourself. There's no need to do an arm lock with an eye gouge when an eye gouge will suffice, and there's no need to practice with a bow staff unless you're a shepherd. And before I continue, yes, you definitely defend yourself with combat sports and martial arts, but usually the simple act of just fighting back stops the attack. The problem is with doing the combo martial art and self-defense is that in a real life or death situation, you never know what's going to come out of you when your SNS kicks in. You may wind up trying to do a wrist lock or a double leg takedown while he and his other buddies pound you to the ground, and that's not all. Confusing self-defense with martial arts and combat sports creates another huge problem, because now you associate fitness, time, dedication to self-defense, and you shouldn't. There's no doubt that the more you practice and the better shape you're in will increase your chances of success in self-defense, but just because you're out of shape, old or injured doesn't mean you can't defend yourself. The truth is, in self-defense, there are only two levels, good enough and as good as you're going to get. The good news is there are core good enough tactics, techniques, and skills. A lot of research goes into A lot of research exists on the subject back when hand-to-hand combat was a real military concern and before political correctness reared its ugly head in law enforcement. During World War II, the fighting prowess of the Japanese soldier was a huge concern because close-quarter combat was a part of warfare, because battles involved trench warfare, and the weapon technology of that period was soldiers toe-to-toe with the enemy on a regular basis. From the early 1900s until the war, Japanese sent emissaries all over the world doing judo demonstrations, teaching their art and exporting the culture. In addition, after Dunkirk, the German war machine proved deadly effective and merciless in the minds of Allied troops. Every enemy soldier was a martial arts expert and a trained, heartless killer. The Allies needed a method of close combat that worked against the Eastern fighting systems, and for that they turned to a man who had mastered their ways and spent decades fighting in the Far East. That man was a head of the Shanghai Municipal Police, William E. Fairburn, a former British Royal Marine. Fairburn was in charge of the Shanghai Military Police, so he's like one of the fathers of this close combat. In World War II, being stationed in Shanghai, he was able to draw from a variety of fighting experts from literally every culture on the planet. These tactics were adopted by the US, Britain, Canada, Australia, and eventually found their way to the Israeli lost my spot there, sorry about that, guys. Far East. A lot has been written on the subject on people like Fairburn, Anthony Sykes, Pat O'Neill. This system trained recruits, spies, commandos, and even the civil resistance forces, and it didn't take years to do it. It took only weeks because the techniques were simple and effective. The universal core combat methods were adaptable and could be applied to close-quarter weapons and other aspects of self-defense. A self-defense skill should be as simple as kicking a ball. Once you learn it, you should be able to go years without doing it and then do it again in a moment's notice. So there's the history of it. The person who can cause the most pain and injury first will win in the street. This is an observation based on match fighting or sparring. Now, about a trained fighter comment. It's predicated on the assumption that two people are going to knowingly fight each other. This is of zero concern to me. I'm too old and broken to spar in the street. I'd rather walk away. Da-de-da. Do you remember Kelly Heron? She defended herself in a public restaurant against a large, strong attacker, and she only took one self-defense lesson class. All the 86 women who used a package of bacon to bludgeon an attacker who was trying to rob her at an ATM. The old woman who destroyed a gun-wielding attacker with a baseball bat. So you get the picture. It doesn't take weeks and years to learn self-defense, to learn something that will help you. Self-defense system, the self-defense training system is best in the world because it works fast and efficiently, and the main self-defense training system gives you everything in the 12 module package that you'll need to basically and after a couple of weeks you will know, just after a couple of weeks, even days, 60 minutes, you'll know enough to fight back, basically. I'll put the link to this and the main self-defense training system in the links below. Cheers.